All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. And in this video, I'm gonna teach you guys how to properly rev match any manual transmission car. Now, we're gonna be using my 2016 Shelby GT350 today, and I'm also gonna be giving you a brief explanation on how to drive manual as well, just in case you're thinking about getting into your first manual car. If this video does help you guys out, feel free, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and if you have any tips for any new manual drivers that I might have missed in this video, feel free to comment that down in the comment section below. Now, before you actually go out on the street, I highly recommend you finding an abandoned parking lot behind, a warehouse, something like that, to where you can get a lot of practice in. And if you mess up, well, there's really nobody there but you. Now, what you want to do when you first decide to take on the challenge of learning how to drive a manual car, especially learning how to rev match downshift, is to get a feel for the clutch pedal. You want to make sure that you understand how much pressure you need to press onto the clutch pedal for it to engage. You also want to go ahead and make sure that you have a good feel for your shifter, you have a good feel for your transmission, and you can seamlessly roll the gears. Now, obviously, this is gonna be a rev match downshift video, but I am gonna be giving a rough explanation on how you guys can properly drive a manual car as well. I will also be adding in a foot cam so you guys can watch me rev match while I'm actually, doing the POV driving to help you guys out. If you guys like that style, let me know down in the comment section. Now, something you also want to kind of keep in mind, a lot of the newer cars are going to have active rev match. And what I mean by active rev match is whenever you are actually coming on a deceleration and you need to downshift, let's say you're in fourth gear and you put it in third, some cars have it set up to where the computer is going to automatically feed the engine enough gas so you can properly downshift into the next gear without actually having to blip it yourselves. Now, Shelby GT350s do not have active rev match, auto rev match, whatever you want to call it. These cars do not. It's a common misconception that these cars have automatic rev match, downshift assist. The only thing that these cars do have is the Magna Ride and the anti-rollback, which I absolutely love, especially if you're on a hill. But you're going to have to go ahead and do all of this manually, which I think is very important. I think everybody should know how to not automatic. I feel like everybody should know how to rev match downshift and drive a manual car, just in case you were in an emergency and you had to drive a manual car and obviously come into a deceleration, or if you were trying to go ahead and accelerate, getting around traffic. So let's go ahead, fire up the car, and we're gonna be going through the steps on how you can properly rev match downshift. All right, let's go ahead and fire up the car. 3, 2, 1. Excuse my low tire pressure and my battery placement. That will be getting done, but this video is how to properly rev match downshift. Now, obviously, safety first. And make sure you guys find yourself a nice empty parking lot, as well as potentially the back of a warehouse. That's where I am right now. Now, what you want to do when you actually go ahead and first decide to take on the challenge of rev match downshifting, you want to go ahead and get a feel for the throttle. What I want you guys to do before you actually get out on the road, before you actually even move the car, take some free revs. And what I mean by free revs is you want to go ahead and give the car some slight revs. So right now my car is idling right under 1,000 RPM. We're gonna do a rev to 2,000. Now we're gonna go ahead and do a rev to 2,500. You want to get some free revs so you guys have some muscle memory so you can understand how much pressure on the throttle you're going to have to put down in order to get the motor to the RPM so you can properly match your speed to the RPM to the gear that you're trying to go ahead and rev match into. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take off. Now, obviously, I have the foot cam. For me taking off, I like to give myself like a slight little kind of blip and take off. Now, what you want to do, I have on the sport mode so you guys can obviously hear the engine a little bit easier. want to go ahead and you just want to accelerate. Now, this is going to be dependent on car to car, but when I'm just regularly driving in a parking lot, I usually go around 2,000, 2,500 RPM before I shift. Now, I want you just to go ahead and drive around whatever parking lot or behind a warehouse you're at. Go through the gears. Going 2,000 right now. I'm going to put myself in 4th gear. Now that I'm in 4th gear, because I'm not going too fast, I'm not going to rev match. I'm just going to go ahead and downshift. Now, what you want to do is keep in mind the RPMs that the motor went to after going ahead and rev match downshifting. We have a police officer here. This is going to be pretty interesting. Let me go ahead and reverse real quick. This is going to be very, very interesting. I did not know there was a police officer right there. Now, what we're going to be doing, like I said, is just driving around the parking lot and getting a feel for where the RPMs are going to go. So again, we're going to go shift in the 2nd. About 2,500. We're going to shift in the 3rd. And again, we're at 2,000. We're shifting in the 4th. Now, because we're not going too fast, we're just going to downshift. You see, it goes up about 500 RPM. That's why I say take it in increments. Downshift again, another 500 RPM. Now, what I want you to do after you do that, since you are in an open parking lot, I want you to park the car, not really park the car, come to a stop. You see, my tachometer is a little bit under 1,000. You're gonna give roughly 500 RPM blip. Took it up to a little under 1,500. Again, roughly 500 RPM blip. Now, if you don't get this off the rip, do not fear. It took me over a month to learn how to drive manual, and it took me a year to actually properly rev match. Now, again, even I'm not perfect. I actually over revved it. Not everybody's perfect. But after you go ahead and do that, you want to go ahead, start moving. And now we are gonna practice rev match. We're taking this baby steps. 2,500 RPM. We're in 2nd gear. 2,500 RPM. We're in 3rd gear. Now what we're gonna do is rev match in the 2nd. 2,500 RPM. Now, I do not recommend rev matching in the 1st gear. That's something that I never do unless you're racing. But obviously, that's gonna be a little bit of an advanced lesson. If you are coming to a stop in 2nd gear, don't fear, put it in neutral. Now again, we're gonna go accelerate. 2,500 RPM, put it in 3rd. We're at 2,000 right now. It's not a huge area for me to practice here, but since we are in 4th gear, what we're gonna do is 500 RPM, 500 RPM, there we go. This is how you guys can learn it, baby steps. Like I said, you are gonna be jerking the car a little bit if you are rookie to this, but since we are in an empty parking lot, who are you gonna hit? Now, once you kind of went ahead and got used to rev matching in a parking lot, we are gonna make our way out to the open road so you can kind of get some more practice. Again, this is gonna be also dependent on the car you're in. My car has an 8250 RPM red limit, so yours might be at 6,000. Something I will admit, I do believe a lot of the newer cars today are a lot easier to rev match downshift. So I also have a 1999 Mustang GT with a cable clutch, and this car, believe it or not, is a hell of a lot easier to drive. You guys saw when I came to a stoplight, I didn't downshift into first gear. I just put it in neutral. So we are going to take off right now. Like I said, I'll just give it a little bit of a blip when I take off. Honestly, probably a bad habit. Now we're gonna downshift. 500 RPM, coming to a stop, just put it in neutral. A lot of this is gonna be muscle memory. That's exactly why I recommend doing those free revs in the parking lot, so you kind of have an idea on how much pressure you need to put on the throttle to get it to where you need to be. Again, going to a stop, we are not gonna put the car in the first gear. There's absolutely no reason to do so. I do recommend you kind of taking a route that is not very, very busy, but unfortunately, I kind of live in an area where it's always busy. So we're gonna pop this U-turn. Again, we're gonna put it in second gear. Once we get kind of out of this little congested area, we will practice going ahead and downshifting from my 6th gear all the way to second. There we go with that anti-rollback coming in handy. Now obviously when you have more space on the open road, you can bring it up a little bit more. 3,000 RPM, coming to a stop. That 500 RPM blip, come to a stop. Now obviously since we have more space, we can give it some more gas. I'm in 5th gear right now. I'm gonna put it in 6. I'll roll up the windows a little bit so you guys can hear me, but I will roll it down and so you guys can hear it when we kind of get to a little bit of a straight. But right now we're coming up to a light. It could potentially turn red. So remember that 500 RPM blip. Boom, 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 boom. Second gear, let it decelerate, and throw it in neutral. There you go. That little 500 to 1,000 RPM blip range is kind of where you want to get that muscle memory. I know it might sound incredibly difficult right now to go ahead and master, but it's one of those things where just the more you do it in a parking lot, it's just going to become second nature, and you're going to start doing it without really even thinking about it, and you're going to be auto rev matching. You're going to be, you know, rev match downshifting without even really realizing it. You're gonna be like, wait, I'm doing it myself. That's kind of what happened with me, because like I didn't really necessarily go out learning how to do it. I just kind of memorized how much kind of RPM I needed to give the motor, and then kind of over time I was like, wait, hold on a second, I'm starting to rev match this thing properly. Obviously not with this car, but whatever car you're trying to drive. If you play, let's say, video games, you know, with a controller or PC, it's like one of those things where like just the more you do it, and if you actually like go out and set your mind to, okay, I want to get better at this and not just mindlessly play, it's just one of those things where you are going to get better at it, guaranteed. Like if you play video games, Call of Duty, Fortnite, I'm telling you this right now, auto rev matching is gonna come so fast and so easy to you just because, you know, muscle memory is something that you do every single day. And you know, that's that confidence I can give you. Like if you play any type of video games, it's like typing as well, realistically. So again, I'm in 4th gear right now. We're going kind of slow. We might hit a stop. Get that 500 RPM blip. It's not a race. We're not gonna go ahead and go crazy and act like we need to downshift 2 gears and disappear. Now again, the light is green. Take it slow. 500 RPM blip. We're not gonna downshift into first. We're just gonna put it in neutral, and we are gonna come to a stop. Again, putting it neutral. You don't have to be the fastest person on the block. It's not what this is about. It's about learning. You need to learn how to obviously walk before you run. So we're gonna let all these cars go. That sounds good. See, that's a manual car. He's not rushing. He's not going crazy. He's just taking it easy, enjoying the exhaust. Again, I just realized I'm not in the fun mode. My bad, y'all. Now we're in the fun mode. So we're just cruising. 5th gear, cars up here. 500 RPM blip. 500 RPM blip. 500 RPM blip. And we continue. Here, obviously in 4th gear you're not gonna have as much power, so 500 RPM blip, turn signal, and you can accelerate. And now we're in 6th gear, just cruising. But let's say you need to get out of a situation. Take your time, and we're gonna downshift the 2nd gear. So we're going 60 miles an hour. Let's say you want to do a 2nd gear 60 roll. 500, 500, 500. Down, kind of slow down to 40, but accelerate. Brake. 500 RPM blip. Kind of once you get used to it, again. 500 RPM blip. 500 RPM blip. 500 RPM blip. 500 RPM blip. Then we accelerate again. and every last one of you guys can master if you take it, you know, baby steps in a parking lot and figure out exactly that 500 to 1,000 RPM kind of blip limit you need to be at and get a feel for your car. All right, if you guys did enjoy the video and it helped you guys out and you start rev matching like a champ, feel free, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn those post notifications, and also let me know down in the comment section if you guys want to see more POV drives with the foot cam. I can definitely go ahead and bring that to you. So I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Deuces!